Yo, what's good, Cucks? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Cruxal, and I know it's been a fat minute. I've been spending the past couple months trying to force myself to enjoy Call of Duty Call of Duty Vanguard. Cuck of Duty Call of Duty Packet Loss? Is that it? Cum of Dumpster Van Cuck? No. Call of Duty Vanguard, that's it, sorry. Momentary memory lapse there. I'm trying to block out, you know, the negative energies of that game, but it's just so fucking shit that I'm just done trying. I've given up, and I'm gonna start making some content on the most recent fun Call of Duty that I enjoyed, which is Black Ops Cold War. And in this game, there has been a ton of MASTERCRAFT bundles that have been released, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to do a tier list for you guys to rank my personal rankings of every single MASTERCRAFT that has ever been added to the game. Up until the point of making this video, I doubt they're gonna be wasting their time making any others now that it's over a year old and out of the life cycle, but nevertheless, I think there's 26 on this list, and we're gonna get right on into it. Buckle in, because this is probably gonna be a pretty long video, and make sure if you enjoy it at any point to drop a sub, because, you know, I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. And let me know if you guys would be down to watch some various Cold War content, because it is a fun-ass game, and compared to Vanguard, it looks amazing, and you don't ever get packet loss, and not a bunch of little whores running around with a riot shield and, you know, combat shotgun, so that's a plus. Anyways, let's get right on into it. Alright, so here we are with the tier list that I made. I made these images, and I'm pretty sure this is every MASTERCRAFT in the game that I was able to find. I might have missed one or two, but if I did, they're not that important, and they're super obscure, therefore ugly, and probably would have been in the F whoever designed this tier. So that's right. We're going to be starting off with S tier, which is obviously the God tier. This is the cream of the crop, creme de la creme when it comes to MASTERCRAFTs. And then we have A through D, and finally, the last tier, which I'm hoping not many of these go to, is the F whoever designed this tier, where it's basically so shit and so ugly that I just...
Fuck whoever designed this.
I don't know why I had to explain that to you guys. It's pretty simple. Anyways, we're going on to the first one here, which is going to be the AK-74U collector's item, which a lot of you might not know was even in the game, because you cannot buy this from the store. It is fully removed from Cold War. I don't know why that is, but it's with good reason, because this is one of these shittier MASTERCRAFTs. It was the first one they made for Season 2, I believe, or Season 1, sorry, and it just looks meh. It's literally a plastic toy gun, and the custom inspect they did for the MASTERCRAFT simply is not that inspired. So for that, I'm gonna have to start things off right, and this one's going straight to the F whoever designed this tab. Whoever got written off for this being a MASTERCRAFT should be fired, because this shit was like maybe a legendary skin, but definitely not deserving of the MASTERCRAFT title. So yeah, we're gonna drag that up into there for now. First F whoever designed this tier. Don't worry, I'm not going to be going too hard on all these. We have plenty of amazing skins to get to. And speaking of amazing fucking skins, we're getting right on into perhaps one of my favorite in this game. That is the AUG Flying Dutchman. Now, this is what you want when you start to consider a MASTERCRAFT, okay? It has every element in it that makes it sick and makes it stand out among the other fucking guns in this, like, thousands of guns in this game that they add into the store. The reason I love this so much is obviously the design and the aesthetic is fully thought out and very cohesive throughout the gun, but also I think an element of this that you have to consider is using the actual natural curvature, I guess, of the gun. I'm not trying to like sexualize this fucking AUG right now, but like, you know what I mean? Like, guns have certain curves and lines, and it's much like a car. When you wrap a car, you want to find a color that matches and a design choice that matches the actual styling of the thing that you're designing. So the gun itself, I feel like they just masterfully applied this insane Flying Dutchman skin to it. It looks like a giant fucking ghost pirate ship straight out of, I don't know, some Johnny Depp movie or some shit. And it really does not feel like a single element of this gun is missing any sort of detail. And don't even get me started on this animation. I love when they do trippy stuff, like the ghost flies out from the gun, and there's fucking cannonballs just launching left and right. It's spectacular. So I think you know where I'm going to be putting this one. Much praise for the AUG Flying Dutchman. That's going straight into the S tier, which I kind of wanted to start things off this way so that you could see the range, okay? We got the shitty plastic gun, the AK-74U collector's item, which is clearly an F whoever designed this tier. And now you know where the bar is at for S, okay? I just want every portion of what I consider when buying these skins to be flawless when it comes to these MASTERCRAFTs, if they're gonna be in the S tier. And the AUG checks every single one of those boxes. I don't actually own it because I don't use the AUG all that much, and I honestly have gotten to a point where I'm only buying skins in this game for guns that I truly want to use, because I've made the mistake of spending a lot of money on some skins that I really did not need. So we're trying to fix that, but thankfully Vanguard's so shit, I don't really want to spend money on that. So I might end up getting this one down the road, honestly, because it's that fucking cool. All right, sorry for the long-winded explanation on the AUG. I'm just very passionate about that one. The next one is the AK-47 Highway Butcher, which this one for some reason as well, at least for me, was not available in the store either. I think this and the AK-74U are the only two that are like that. So if you want this gun for some reason, unfortunately, it might be kind of hard to get, or maybe it just was not showing for me personally. I gotta be honest, bro. I don't fuck with lizards all that much, man. They just kind of creep me out. The whole inspect animation, the way the lizard kind of crawls over the gun is just not for me, okay? I mean, you got this basic looking AK with some edgy fucking Hot Topic studded belt bullshit all over it, and then you got a lizard crawling over that shit. Like, dude, I'm not Shia LaBeouf. This isn't Holes. Dig it up. No. Fuck that shit. This is probably for me. Yeah, it's a solid D tier, okay? So we're going to be dragging the AK-47 Highway Butcher straight into the D tier. It's not terrible, it's not egregious, but it definitely is near one of the worst ones in my opinion. Moving on to another AK-47, because there's about 30,000 fucking Mastercrafts for that gun alone, is the ICBRIFLE, which is, in my memory, at least the first Mastercraft that I bought in this game. I don't think it was the first that came out, but it was definitely the first one that inspired me to get it, because it looks solid. I mean, I'll be honest. It's a really, really cool aesthetic. It works well with dark aether and dark matter, which is a element of this ranking that I am going to be including in some of these in my decision. There's certain skins where those just don't appear at all when you put the mastery camo over the Mastercraft, and I think that's a little bit bullshit. And then there's guns like this that work incredibly well. The animation is really cool, the way the rocket launches off. Overall, I think in the beginning I was really hyped on this, but now that I've seen more of the Mastercrafts, it's kind of become a little bit more mid to me, but I definitely still use it from time to time, as well as just appreciate it for what it is. So with all that considered, I think I'm comfortable putting the ICBRIFLE straight into the B tier, and that's where it will rest for eternity. On to the next one. All right, now for another insane Mastercraft, the Krieg 6 Ice Drake, which was another early one. I remember when this got leaked on Reddit, and I was just freaking out. Like, I could not wait for them to add this to the store, and thankfully they did pretty quickly. Another just super insanely detailed Mastercraft, where again, they thought of the actual shape of the gun and used it to the advantage of the design, if that makes sense. The way the barrel glows and everything, and just the dragon overall. I feel like I'm Daenerys Targaryen season 3 when she fucking births the dragons. I don't know if that's actually the same part I was thinking of, but you know what I'm talking about. It's absolutely mental. The animation is sick, the way it flies and floats out of her hand. I was not expecting them to go that hard with the Mastercrafts there in the beginning, but they fucking did, so respect to that. The way the barrel glows and the magazine and everything, just everything about this is solid. The one thing that is pretty terrible about this gun, though, that is going to knock it a few points, are those iron sights, okay? I don't know if you guys have used this or seen this or picked it up at any point, but if you don't have a red dot or an ACOG on that bitch, I don't know how you're gonna see anything, because you are just so obstructed with your view as you are trying to aim down sights with this thing. It is terrible. So for that, I think we're gonna knock it down a few points. The S tier I'm gonna make very difficult to get into, okay? That's a very legit club up there. So I think this one's going to be sitting comfortably at the A tier. Again, the only thing that really holds it back is that iron sight and the fact that I don't really use the Krieg 6 all that much, but I'm really trying to not allow my bias of what guns I personally use and don't use into this ranking too much. It will affect it somewhat, but for now, Krieg 6 Ice Drake right into the A tier. And speaking of not letting my bias of a weapon get too far into the way, next we have the FARA 83 Warbreaker. Now, personally, I do not use this weapon at all. I know it might be meta for some people, but for me, it's just a really boring gun. This is literally the missionary position of guns, okay? But with that out of the way, another thing about this is this design and aesthetic does not really scream Mastercraft all that much to me. Yes, it looks quite different, but maybe I just don't resonate with that like futuristic space warfare vibe that they got going on in here. And it doesn't help that the inspect that I should be showing right now, but really just seems uninspired. I mean, you go to town with a wrench behind the gun. You don't even see what changes you're making to the mechanics of the gun. So if you're a mechanic and you love having wrenches around and just random shit like that, I guess you might enjoy this one, but for me, it is pretty lackluster. No offense if you like this aesthetic, but I think we're gonna fill out the first C here with the FARA 83 Warbreaker. So now you kind of have an idea of where each gun lands. I swear I did not try to do that on purpose, have each gun be a specific tier at first, but I'm just that good of a fucking YouTuber that I did it without even trying. So on to the next one now that you have a scale to go off of is the M16 Incubator. And I make that face because this has got to be one of the goddamn scariest, grossest, most weird guns that they have ever made. Now, I know some of you hentai watching motherfuckers might enjoy this whole tentacle alien weirdness, but for me, it just creeps me out, grosses me out. I'm really not a fan. I mean, it literally looks like they took a base model M16 and then one of the creatures from those sus ads that you see on the side of the hub, you know, the sidebar where it's just some alien going to town on, like, I don't know, fucking Lois from Family Guy or some shit. It just looks terrible. And then the animation is creepy. It's just like moving and you poke it and it has all these weird ASMR sounds going on. Just about everything about this makes me dislike it. And I don't like that it seems like a normal gun with just this alien attached onto it. I know that was the idea for it, but I don't think this will be a shock after what I just said about it. I think this one is going to be our second F whoever designed this tier. The M16 Incubator is just not it, and I'm sorry if you wasted your money on it. Or if you enjoy it at all, because clearly you just have no taste. That's right, this is not an opinion video, this is fact, this is verbatim. If you have any sort of different ranking, you're wrong. Kidding, of course, but for me, I just hate this fucking gun. On to the next one now. Now we have another vibe that I really actually quite enjoy, mainly because there was a collection in CSGO that had kind of similar vibes, but this is the Bullfrog Mayan Malediction. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Just a really clean aesthetic with like the jade and the different stones, and it looks very Aztec. I kind of like that vibe personally. It's a hard aesthetic to pull off without looking too much like Arizona tea cans or something, but I really do like this one. It looks quite different than the base Bullfrog. Obviously you could tell by the shape it is a Bullfrog, but I do enjoy the little changes they made to it and the whole animation of you getting the darts or arrows thrown into your freaking gun. That's pretty cool. So nothing too crazy for me, but I think comfortably I'm fine with putting this one up to the B tier. It's a solid middle ground Mastercraft, and if you're a fan of the Bullfrog, you're in luck because this is a good one. I feel like some of these skins on here, I really enjoy the gun, and then the Mastercraft came out and I was like, ugh, I wish this could have been better. Thankfully for the Bullfrog, we got something really, really solid. All right, now on to the Pelington Mortal Anguish, the first sniper on this list. And personally, snipers are something that I pretty much main in this game. I love the feeling of the Pelington, even though it's a hit marker machine for some people. You just gotta hit those shots. You just gotta fucking adapt. I don't know what to tell you. The red glow this emits is super badass. It looks just demonic and powerful, and I love that aesthetic. The way the silencer has those little gaps in it, and just the overall design is really, really solid. But the issue I have with this is it does not apply any sort of mastery camo to it, which again is going to be something that I'm putting into this list. I know I should be looking at just the skin, but the way I use these skins, I usually slap dark aether or dark matter on it because I need to prove to people that I have never personally seen a pair of boobs in my life, and how else would they know that unless I have the mastery camo on there? So with the fact that you can't even apply it, or you can apply it but it just does not show at all for either of them, that does dock it quite a few points, and the reason why I have not personally purchased this Mastercraft yet, even though I use Pelington all the fucking time. And the other thing, I know I shouldn't include the rest of the bundle in my decision, but the operator has a fucking fedora on, so you are just wasting your money if you buy this. I think we're gonna actually move the Pelington into the B tier. I know it sounds like I was just harshing on it a lot, but the overall design saves it quite a bit and gains quite a few points up the tier list. I was feeling C, but no, this is gonna be a solid B tier for now. Now, staying with the theme of snipers, we're moving on to one that might be a hot take here. I know a lot of you guys might have enjoyed this, but personally, I was very disappointed in this skin. And that is for the Tundra, the Mothership Mastercraft. For me, Tundra was my gun. I mean, the Swiss, the Pelington, the Tundra, they're all fun, but Tundra is what I use in search. It's fun to snipe with. I was really waiting for a Mastercraft the entire life cycle of this game. Then they dropped this bullshit, okay? First off, I'm not a Star Wars head, so I could give a fuck about this space aesthetic. I think it's horrendously ugly. The way everything looks is bad, okay? You start to inspect this thing, it's kind of cool, but then you zoom into the scope, and this is where I have a real issue with this thing. The scope reticle is horrendous, and that is something that is very important to me. There's guns that have been in the history of Call of Duty that I have not used purely because the stock sniper scope is that bad, and I find myself not really enjoying using, you know, things beyond the sniper scope. I feel like ACOG is a little bit boring to use, so if the scope itself is bad and I can't change the reticle, it's getting pushed pretty far down this tier list. I'm not gonna fucking lie to you, okay? I do like how it floats, much like the Ice Drake. I'm pretty sure in the animation it floats out of your hands, so that's cool, and I might shock some of you with this decision, but I think because of all the stuff I listed, this is just going into the C tier. I can't be too biased with me not enjoying Star Wars and that aesthetic too much. I can see the brilliance of it, but for me, it's just boring, okay? So that's gonna be flat into the C tier. Now for the AK-74U Mystical Lamp. This is a newer-ish Mastercraft bundle, and I really actually like the aesthetic of this. There's quite a few, I think 2 AK-74U Mastercrafts, but I also have just a bunch of other AK-74U skins, so I have not yet purchased this, but I do enjoy the aesthetic of it, the design. All of the gold is very good. I think if something incorporates gold in a good way, that makes it look really like fancy and bright. We all know the gold in this game and every COD game is kind of lackluster, and then they release shit in the store that just looks way better, and this is one of those cases. And the animation of this kind of reminds me of that Mortal Anguish Pelington, but a lot of it kind of is a little bit middle ground to me. There's nothing that really screams A tier or S tier to me, so the highest I'm willing to put this one, the AK-74U Mystical Lamp, is gonna be the B tier, I believe. All right, on to another one of my top tier favorites in this game. That is the LC-10 Neurotransmitter. Now, I am a LC-10 lord. I loved the gun when it first came out. It was super OP, and then it got nerfed, and even after the nerf, it is still super viable and super fun to run around with and just slaughter, especially in hardcore. The details go absolutely crazy on this one. Like I said, I want a Mastercraft to feel like it looks a lot different than the base variant of the gun, and to me, this does. The magazine is insane the way it has these little cartridges in it that are like full of electricity. You got the little side plating on it, and then the ACOG scope, or the red dot, I believe it is incredible. It's animated. That's, I think, a rare thing in this game. I don't know of many other guns that have an animated scope when you're not zoomed in, just while you're sitting idly. Hopefully I'm showing that here. It works incredibly well with Dark Aether and Dark Matter. I use both on this thing, and just overall, it's dope. The fucking barrel at the end looks insane. It looks like some actual 1950s like alien technology, like what we considered to be alien and futuristic back in the day, and I really like that aesthetic. The animation is really dope too. You fire off these little, I don't know, missiles and they fly around. It's a little goofy, but that's how most Mastercrafts are. So for this one, everything on it is super solid. I don't know what is keeping me from wanting to put a lot into S tier. Like, I think there's only 2 or 3 that I'm really considering putting in S tier. And this one I was on the fence, I'm not gonna lie, but I think I'm gonna give it a solid A tier. That way we're not being too overzealous with giving things GOAT status. I want it to be an absolute insane skin if it's gonna be GOAT status. But that's about as close as you can get to being S tier in my mind. It's like 99% to S tier. But for now, we'll leave it in A. Okay, on to one that a lot of people might not know is actually considered a Mastercraft because it was a pre-order bundle reward for pre-ordering Vanguard, and that is the PPSH 41 Night Raid. This is how they finessed us into making the worst financial decisions of our lives. If you're like me and you actually purchased Vanguard, I actually had the joy of purchasing the deluxe edition twice for me and my girlfriend because we're suckers and we really thought that this was going to be a good game. And then it turned out that the studio had actually spent the last 2 years of production on this game just shitting on their computers. And then Vanguard is the result of that. Human feces transported into code. That is literally what Vanguard was. So if you wasted your money on this, that's kind of a thing that's going to sour your ranking of it, but I'm trying not to let myself get biased on that aspect of it. This is extremely low profile. It looks great. It looks a little bit more unique. It has this little line that goes across the barrel that has a like animated effect. I don't know what even to call it, but it's almost like a gradient fade. And there's a slight reactive camo quality to this, especially if you don't have any camos on it, where it really starts to look almost electrified, which is really cool. No custom animation. I believe this was considered a Mastercraft by them, but this is one of 2 skins on this list that does not have a Mastercraft animation, and for that knocks it quite a few points because that is one of the key ingredients to being a Mastercraft in my opinion. It almost makes it not a Mastercraft in my eyes, but it is technically considered one, so I have to put it in this list. Although with all the other pluses of it and the fact that I love playing with this gun, I think I'm going to give this a C tier. Again, that might be a little bit controversial. Some of you might say F whoever designed this, or D automatically for not having an animation, but the other parts of this gun saves it quite a bit, and the fact that it is reactive makes it feel like an ultra skin, so that is going right into the C tier for me. All right, now on to the QBZ-83 Phoenix Inferno. This is quite an insane looking gun. It's got this floating orb of energy in the middle of it. They kind of cut away from the actual gun model itself, which again lends it to looking quite a bit different than the base gun variant, which is something I'm really considering in these rankings, and just the overall aesthetic is really cool. I know I've said that about a lot of these guns, but I like when they have a clear design style, and I'm not wondering what was this inspired by. You can tell this is like very almost Harry Potter-esque. It's just magical and glowing orange, and I really like when there's lighting effects involved in these Mastercrafts. That definitely bumps it up quite a few notches. I will say the Phoenix head is kind of distracting when you're looking down the sights or just holding the gun itself, but other than that, it's a really solid, cool looking gun, especially if you enjoy the QBZ. It's up there as one of my favorites. I personally use the Magical Pack one that I got. It's a Tracer one. It's not a Mastercraft, but that's the reason I never bought this, and I just never really used this gun after I got it gold. But nonetheless, not too much to complain about here. I think this is going to be a solid A tier as well, because there's almost no issues I can find with it, and it's a very solid design and very cool animation as well. Getting down into the nitty gritty here, now onto let's do the Stoner 63 Road Mongrel. Now, I think a lot of you would expect me to find this to be a very head-ass gun. This might be the most ridiculous looking Mastercraft in this entire game or in Call of Duty history, but I gotta admit, kind of like it. I kind of fucking like it. I don't know what strain of crack they were smoking at Treyarch when they designed this shit, because it is off the wall, next level weird. It literally took an LMG and turned it into a full-on motorcycle with wheels and handlebars, bro. Like, who's sitting in their design office thinking, okay, I gotta make a Mastercraft this week, let's do a Harley Davidson gun? Like, what the fuck were you thinking, dude? All I know is that was some strong shit, and this should not be that good or enjoyable, but it is. I absolutely love it. The animation is insane. It makes me laugh almost every time, the way you're revving the fucking throttle on your gun that is also a motorcycle. It's just mind-blowing that this ever got greenlit or passed through. And you guys are gonna think I'm absolutely ridiculous for this, but because of the meme power and the fact that this is, in my opinion, the funniest and most left field Mastercraft in this entire series and franchise overall, the Stoner 63 Road Mongrel is gonna be our second S tier skin. I personally don't own it because I don't ever use LMGs. I'm not a fan of that playstyle, but you gotta respect the insanity that is this Mastercraft, dude. It doesn't even look like a gun at this point. It just is like a weird folded up Transformers motorcycle that also happens to shoot bullets at a rapid pace, okay? Fucking respect it, all right? Now on to another one that is very controversial. Much like the Night Raid, it does not have a custom animation, so therefore I was almost even considering if I should put this on the tier list or not, but nonetheless, it is classified as a Mastercraft on Call of Duty, so I got to include it. That is the MP5 Roman Opulence. Now, I will say this was from the Battle Pass, I believe, a couple seasons ago, and it does have an insane design aesthetic. I love the kind of Greek marble, gold, like purple combo, beautiful to the eyes. The magazine and the red dot sight especially look incredible, and I love the overall design, but the fact that it doesn't have a Mastercraft inspection makes me question how they could have considered this a Mastercraft. You know, this one kind of felt like they just called it that so they could say that they included a Mastercraft in this season pass, which is kind of bullshit, kind of just marketing, you know, aggressive tactics in my opinion. So for that, it does knock it down quite a few pegs, but I can't quite feel comfortable putting it in the F whoever designed this tier because it is kind of pretty. We're gonna go to D tier. I think if it had an animation, it could well have been in A or B, especially A if it was a cool animation because of how good it looks. But for that reason alone, it not having the animation, it's got to go to D. On to another amazing one. Now, this is for a gun I don't personally use, so again, I don't want to have my bias of what guns I use and don't use affect this ranking, so I'm not going to let it do that. But this is the EM2 Sultan's Scimitar. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And holy fucking shit, is this gun insane, dude. They went ape shit with the design. The overall aesthetic, the way that it looks like kind of, I don't know, like Mediterranean. There's gold, there's a lot of embellishments, and it's reactive. I mean, there's not many on this list that are reactive and considered a Mastercraft. Usually they do one or the other, but they said, fuck it, dude, we're gonna combine both. So this gun is changing colors as you're playing with it and getting kills, hopefully, and it also works incredibly well with Dark Aether and Dark Matter. And then the final piece of the puzzle that makes this an absolutely goated fucking Mastercraft is the fact that you can take hits out of your gun, dude. I know it's technically a hookah, but in my headcanon, you're smoking some straight up gas out of this shit, dude. Like some high quality indica that doesn't make you sleep, but it also doesn't give you the munchies too much, but it's just a great body and head high. Oh man, the nugs inside of this gun have just got to be massive and like on some Wiz Khalifa shit, dude, because this gun is cracked. And for all those reasons together, look, this could have been the ugliest gun in the game, but as long as you could take a straight up hit out of it, it would have still been S tier. But with my praise of it, you can obviously tell this is going to be our third S tier, aka God tier. Mastercraft on this list. Final stretch here, but this is where we're kind of evening out. As you can see, a lot of them are a little bit mid to me, but there are a few exceptions to me that are quite insane, and those are the ones up top, obviously. Now, for the second to last AK-47 on the list, this is the Science Project, and again, actually, I was wrong. This is the third skin on this list that does not have a custom Mastercraft inspection, and that is because they also did some marketing bullshit with this one. This actually was included with the Hauer that we're going to cover later on in this list, the special batch, where they tried to say that this is the first pack with 2 Mastercrafts in the bundle, and yeah, it does look like a Mastercraft. It is design is absolutely insane. It has these gauges on it. They changed the base weapon quite a bit, which is one of my requirements to look like a Mastercraft. It does not look like a stock AK by any means, but it also does not have that animation, and I think it's a little bit unfair that they labeled this as such when this could have just been an ultra skin that was just not Mastercraft, you know what I mean? But you could have done something, Treyarch. So for this one, I think this is gonna go into... Oh, it's so on the line, but I think we're going to put this in C tier only because I really enjoyed the design still, and I can see that they at least tried to make it, you know, look like a Mastercraft without having the animation, but it's just not there for me. So that's where the AK-47 Science Project is going to be resting until its final days. And now on to the FFAR 1 Shredder. This bundle is super head-ass. I honestly got it for the operator that has the guitar on his back because I play guitar very shittily, but I did want that in this game just because it was funny to me. I don't actually use the FFAR too much in the game. I know it was really cracked in Warzone, but I don't play that shit either. And I think they kind of missed the mark with this one. They wanted it to be musically inspired and look like a combination of instruments, but it ends up looking like something Duran Duran was playing on back in the 80s or some shit. Like, it's just an ugly keytar. And then the animation was cool. I thought they were going to be shredding on it because it's called Shredder, and it plays this weird, I don't even know if you could call it. I don't know what scale this song was in. I don't know what BPM it's in. It seems to not follow any sort of rules of musical theory. I don't know what to say about this, but it's just, listen to this shit. Like, you're telling me that I'm out here getting 360 no scopes, headshots left and right, and then I'm taking a break on my gun and I'm just like, like, fuck you, dude. That's so shitty. So for that does knock it down quite a few points. The design is kind of cool. I like the end of the barrel and like the silencer type thing they add. But again, that inspection is so grating on the ears, I don't find myself using it. And that's one of the main reasons you get a Mastercraft, is to inspect it and show it off. So for that, we're going to be landing the FFAR 1 Shredder into the C tier. A lot of C tier so far, but that's just kind of how I feel about a lot of these that aren't egregiously bad, but also don't have any redeeming qualities all that much that make it stand out enough for me to spend $20 on it. All right, on to the Gallo SA-12 Blast-o-Matic. So this one hurt my heart a little bit, I'm gonna admit, because I was waiting a long time for a ray gun-esque or just wonder weapon looking blueprint. I don't know why they took this long to make it, because obviously the ray gun's been in the game for a decade at this point. It's an iconic weapon, and I always thought that would be a cool way to make something feel like a Mastercraft, is if it looks like a wonder weapon, okay? And I love the Gallo. I personally love using shotguns like this in zombies. It's really fun. So everything seemed to add up, and it seemed to be really sick, but then it happened and it dropped, and the execution fell a little bit flat to me, to be completely honest. This inspection is not at a Mastercraft level to me. It's very lackluster for how badass the gun could have been. You literally load a couple of like electrified shotgun shell battery things into it, and that's it. So it's pretty much like a normal reload, but a ray gun. Big fucking whoop. And right now I'm going to show a really quick reaction from, in my opinion, the best bundle reviewer or most consistent bundle reviewer on YouTube, Gray. This is his reaction to the Mastercraft animation, and you can even tell he's kind of like regretting the fact that he spent money on this. Check it out.
Let's see. The batteries. Okay, is that it? All right, I was expecting a little more, but...
So once again, check out Gray's channel if you haven't already. Incredible bundle reviews. I love watching that dude. All credit to him for buying this, and thank you so much for saving me the money, because I don't want to get it if this animation is that dog shit. I know I feel bad for saying that because all you guys love zombies and you love this whole ray gun thing, but they could have done so much better on it, and I want to hold Treyarch to high standards when it comes to these Mastercrafts, because we're spending our hard-earned money on it and it needs to be good. So with the whole animation being a little bit booty cheeks, this is controversial. But I think this one's going to go into the D tier, okay? I don't know what's keeping me from putting it in C. I think it's because there's already so many C tiers. I want to fill out this bottom portion with ones that I really do think I have big issues with, and that is a big issue for me, is that animation. absolutely dog shit. Onto another shoddy, the Hauer that we talked about earlier with the AK-47 Science Project. This is the special batch Hauer 77, which was in the dual Mastercraft bundle, and this one actually got a full-on Mastercraft inspection, which is one of my favorites. You have this like green sludge in this thing. I don't know what it is. It seems like some sort of corrosive, toxic, like goop, basically, and you pour that shit up into a mug and take a shot of it. That is hardcore. That is insane. The scope on it is ridiculous. It makes it look almost like a gun straight out of Borderlands or a game adjacent to that, where they really go to new heights with the gun design and make it look like it was almost pieced together by some sort of mad scientist that only had access to like stuff from a steampunk era. I love it. I really like this aesthetic. The whole back stock of it is incredible. They changed the gun quite a bit, and the whole barrel with the stuff wrapped around it is just great. I could go on and on about this one, but definitely made me want to buy the bundle alone was this Hauer. And for that, I think this is definitely worthy of the Mastercraft title and is going to be our 4th A tier of the day. Really great shotgun. For you shotgun fans, this is going to be the best Mastercraft out there in my opinion, and you can relive the glory days of when the Hauer was pretty much a wonder weapon in zombies for like the first 3 months of this game's life cycle. It still is really OP too. Now on to the Mac 10 Bast idol. I don't know what the word Bast is, but when I read this name, it makes me think of a little kid saying blast idol, and he just can't say his L's. Like, the Bast idol, I don't know where I'm going with that. This was one of the last Mastercrafts added, I believe. It kind of went under my radar because at this point I was trying to suffer through Vanguard and act like I was fake enjoying it, and it just wasn't happening. So I was outside of the ethos of Call of Duty Cold War, and honestly, this is a very solid Mastercraft. I like the aesthetic. I like the kind of Pharaoh cat vibes. The Mac 10 needs a Mastercraft. I love that weapon. It's a very fast shooting, fun SMG to run and gun with. But with that being said, I still, again, am really watching what I buy in this game and have not picked it up. The animation, however, is very sick, has some cool lighting effects. And if you like cats, this is going to be the skin for you because you literally have a cat like pawing at you through the gun. I ain't no simp for animals, so I don't really care, but if that's your thing, go ahead and cop this one. With that being said, though, again, there's not too much that sets this apart. I think I'm comfortable giving this one a B tier because the Mac 10 needs a good Mastercraft, and it does what it wants to do, but it's just not for me completely. All right, only 4 left. Now down on to the XM4 Swatt Master, the second to last M4 that we're going to be covering in this tier list. And this was, again, one of the earlier Mastercrafts. I was really considering getting this one because M4 at the time was like my main weapon, but there's just something about this that doesn't scream Mastercraft to me. I mean, it looks different than the gun, definitely. I like the electricity effects, but there's just something about it that falls short. I think it's kind of lazy that they just slapped the batteries on the side of it and added some, shocks, and they were like, oh, it's so different. But it kind of looks to me like someone who's trying way too hard to DIY their airsoft gun and just it went awry. Basically, that's the aesthetic and the design choice of this gun to me. And the way that you kind of inspect it and it shocks you, like, that's cool, but it's a little bit lazy. So for that, we're going to be slapping it right on into the C tier where it fits right at home with the rest of the mid Mastercrafts, in my opinion. Now on to the KSP 45 tape deck. My girlfriend got this bundle first because she is a massive fan of the KSP. She likes burst weapons, and I thought it was a little bit boring for a Mastercraft. It's cool it has a tape player on the side, but the colors and everything just made it feel like it would be a middle ground battle pass skin. There wasn't too much that really made it a Mastercraft, and I think at this point of the life cycle of the game, this was one of the first ones that got added. They were a little bit afraid to really go to the next level because they knew they had all these ideas down the road that they would still want people to spend money on. So for that reason, it is very middle ground to me, much like a lot of these other ones. And there's also just too many workout themed skins, like 80s themed skins in this game. Again, it's cool that it plays music, but you never really are going to be listening to that, and otherwise it's just pretty boring. So to even things out a bit, we're going to be moving the KSP 45 tape deck down into the D tier. All right, now into the final 2, and you might be wondering if I was doing this in any specific order. I really was not, except for these final 2. I wanted these to be the last ones because I got something to say about both of these. First up, we're going to be covering the AK-47 Void Monster, and I know, much like the rest of you guys, I want to bitch and moan a lot about how much Mastercrafts exist for the AK-47 or how many skins exist for the AK-47 and the M4 together. It's just almost too much, but I also use them all the time, so I'm one of those people that's almost appreciative that they're adding so many AK-47 skins to this, but I really cannot be mad at them for adding this. This is my second favorite, if not maybe favorite blueprint that they have ever added to any Call of Duty game. Everything about this is next level. The design is very bold and out there. I mean, you can just take one look at this thing and it looks like a crazy Frankenstein monster slash like Soul Calibur weapon almost. It takes every good part of a lot of these Mastercrafts, like the Science Project and the Mystical Lamp and the Phoenix Inferno, like just little different elements of the design, and crafts it into one. The rest of the bundle is absolutely insane too. It comes with a few guns and a really cool operator, but I don't want to add that into my, you know, weighting of the ranking too much, but that is something to consider because it's one of the best buys you can make in this game, in my opinion. But like I've said earlier in this tier list, the less it looks like the stock gun, the more I'm gonna like it. And this obviously shares the shape of the AK-47, but just about every single part of it has been changed or embellished in some way. You have these kind of older style bulbs on the side of it with the electricity. You have the eyeball blinking in the foregrip area, and then the end of the barrel looks like some crazy electric stuff. You have these like prongs coming out of each side, and everything about this is so fucking cool to me. I don't know what it is, but it just screams Mastercraft. It screams like I paid a lot of money for this bundle. It's super different than every other gun in the game, and it has tracers. Just, there's nothing you don't want to like about this gun. It's reactive, which again, I think there's only one or two other Mastercrafts on this list that were also reactive at the same time. That is a very high pedigree to achieve, having both of those things that would otherwise make a gun ultra. Just having one, but it has both. It works incredibly well with Dark Aether and Dark Matter. In my opinion, this might be the best application of a Mastery camo onto a blueprint that we have seen in Cold War, because it looks insane and still has the reactive elements while having those camos on, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a little minute since I've used it, but this thing is straight up a wonder weapon inside the game. Like, you're carrying it around and I feel like I'm using something that I hacked into the game almost. It looks that badass and it feels amazing. When you're shooting it, it packs a punch. Just everything about it, top tier. And the aim down sights is sick. The red dot they use on this is pretty much a floating reticle. There's no frame around it, and that is money to me. You can use whatever reticle you want, and it looks like it's just floating right above your gun. It's a little weird to get used to at first, but it's also so clear to look at. You have no obstructions. This is one of my favorite guns to use. I change up a couple accessories here and there, a little different, you know, stuff from the other AK Mastercrafts I have, but this is, without a doubt, one of my favorite Mastercrafts. I could go on about it all day. The Void Monster is going straight up into S tier, because it is God status. It's that fucking good. Now on to the last one. Again, I'm saving this one for last for a reason, because at the time of writing this, I mean, I kind of just thought about it more, and Void Monster I think is like tied with this one, but the White Rabbit XM4 has got to be my favorite Mastercraft in the game. I love the M4 to play with in general, but just about every element of this is things that I listed that I want in a Mastercraft. You have the design being very cool. I love the porcelain look, the colors, the flowers on the side, all very elegant and beautiful. The scope looks incredible. And then you have the fact that it has this insane inspect. This is one of my favorite inspects, if not my favorite, because it applies this screen effect. You have this beetle that comes out on the top of the gun, you eat it, and you start tripping fucking balls, dude. Oh, this makes me want to eat some shrooms right now. I love this blueprint, the way it reacts. Also, it's another one of the reactive Mastercrafts, which, much like the Void Monster, and I can't remember the other one, that's a very cool thing to me, the fact that they included all of that and lumped it all together. This is the perfect ultimate assault rifle, in my opinion. It also has great attachments on it, stock. That's another thing I wasn't really talking about, but some of these Mastercrafts have some booty-ass attachments that you just want to swap out anyways, and then you end up losing the design of the gun. But this one is great. You don't really have to change that much to it, and the reactive is insane, dude. The different colors it goes through is beautiful. And then also there's a face that appears on the scope, which, like I said, with the LC10 neurotransmitter, that's a very uncommon feature that you see in these games, where the non-zoomed in scope while you're idle just walking around looks sick and has like this demonic face on it. Everything about this screams top tier, S tier. You know where I'm putting it, but I just had to give some love to this blueprint because it is without a doubt my favorite. I mean, I'm using it all the time. I end up dying too often because I'm trying to just trip balls in the middle of my game, doing the animation over and over when I should be looking for people and shooting them, but that's a personal problem, okay? Like I said, we're wrapping things up well here. That is a absolutely deserved S tier, and in my opinion, the best blueprint in the game. I want to know if you guys agree with me or not, but here I'm just going to have a little bit of a zoomed in look so that you can see the entire ranking. I know some of these might have been questionable for you guys, but I do think this is just where I'm going to leave it because that's my thoughts. Again, this is all personal opinion. Some of you might find the Incubator to be the coolest skin in the game, and in that case, unsubscribe and don't watch my shit anymore, you fucking weirdo. There's so much greatness in this game. I think this just proves to me that although it's annoying that they have all these behind monetary paywalls that you have to pay, that's kind of just the state of gaming itself. And if we are going to be paying for cosmetics, I want them to be cool. And Vanguard so far has not been at that level. Pretty much everything at Vanguard's been a downgrade, but I can go on about that for as long as I've been recording this video, which is about an hour at this point. I'm sure I'll trim down a lot of it, but yeah, now to wrap things up. So thank you if you watched to the very end of this video. Wow, you fucking made it with me. I know that was a journey, but hopefully you guys liked my breakdown of those different MASTERCRAFT bundles, and I'm sure you agree on some and disagree on others. Maybe I was way too harsh on your favorite one, but if I was, let me know down in the comments below what you personally agreed or disagreed with, as well as let me know what you thought of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and there will be some more down the road like this. I'm just trying to make whatever content sounds fun to me at this point, because I don't want to force myself into a box making videos on, you know, the newest Call of Duty that we won't mention the name of. It's like Voldemort on this channel. It just makes my skin crawl and gives me PTSD, but that's something I'm working through with my therapist, so, you know, I'll get through it one day. Anyways, thank you so much for watching until the very end. My name is Cruxal, and I'll see your bitch ass in the next video. Peace out.